Yeah, so my name's Lee. I make art under the name Metageist. I was around the time when COVID locked us all up inside our houses. I lost all of my work in one fell swoop, because what I was doing is I was using virtual reality art tools and trying to monetize that, and that was extremely difficult. What I was doing is I was going to festivals and universities and schools, and also charity work in hospitals, teaching children and adults how to use these VR art tools to create virtual reality experiences and characters and things like that. Luckily, just as we got into lockdown, I noticed that people were suddenly able to sell their virtual reality artworks for real money. And of course, this was extremely lucky. And I sort of dived down this crypto art rabbit hole at the start of 2020. And of course, have not really looked back since, and had an extremely, an amazing journey, and extremely, I feel very grateful for that. I've been made a lot of NFTs. I started off on Super Rare, did a few one-of-ones. Actually, Coldy bought my first NFT, which was really nice. So there's like these weird little connections here, these nodes on this network of the crypto art community. And it's been a really sort of serendipitous week here with the Mona team, meeting all these people face to face, and it's really nice to see these connections over time. But one pack I did on Nifty Gateway, I did a blind pack. So what I decided to do, perhaps against my better judgment, was to start doing 3D art when I'd never done it before and try and sell it. But my angle was, I'm new to this, my characters are kind of ropey and a bit naive, but you can join me at the start of my journey. So I did a blind pack where you didn't know which character from 8 different characters you were going to get, and they were $60. And one of those in the pack was this rare little guy called the Hermit that you can see on the screen now. So he's just like a little hermit crab guy. He's really wise. He's got a stylish little green mustache. And he was one of my favorite pieces. And this is exactly, almost to the day. You can see it was 22nd of October 2020, so this is 2 years ago now. It feels like it was about 2 months ago, to be fair. And then later on, I did a second pack, the Metafiler 2-pack. And this one is the evolution of that guy, the Temple Hermit. Now, it's the hermit crab, but he's started to grow, and he's got a little temple on his back. And you can see as he turns, there's these little windows and little bridges and things like that. The idea behind the Metafiler and the word itself is that these are my ideas of life forms that have arisen in a simulation. So metaverse native life forms. And I expect to be injecting artificial intelligence into all of these creatures and have them running around much more dynamic spaces in the future. But we're going to take one step at a time with that. So we're building these different characters. And each of these 8 different characters have like a lineage. And as I create more and more NFTs, they're often related to these characters, and they change over time. Now, the reason I'm telling you that is that now the little Temple Hermit has evolved into this space. So in front of you here, you can see in the distance, there's this sort of temple, and this is the hermit itself in his latest incantation or iteration. I've made my world far too difficult to get into, and I've learnt my lesson, and I won't be doing this again, because it is quite tricky to get in. Okay, nailed it. So in here, you can see that we've got the hermit over there, and a bunch of other Metafiler. Made giant sculptures of them, really risen them up. This is a sculpture park in Monaverse. And this is the first Unity build. This whole space was also made in Gravity Sketch. So everything in here, all of it, was made in virtual reality just by using my body and my arms to create all of the polygons. It's not exactly the most optimized way of doing things, but it does mean that you really get a sense of being an architect or a sculptor in VR for VR. So you can see in some of these characters that they're all quite simple shapes. So all of these lines, like that green swoop, that is me pulling the trigger and just drawing a shape and then sort of tweaking it until I'm happy with it. So they're made in improvised sessions. I never use reference images or anything like that. I like to think that they come from the fact that I'm using virtual reality art tools. The great thing about this process is that Gravity Sketch is free. Unity is free, Monaverse is free, you don't need to buy any land or anything like that. And you can just, as long as you've got a half-decent computer and a headset that costs $299, you can do this sort of thing if you can persist through all the pain and suffering of doing things wrong 6 or 7 times before you get it right. So I found that even though I've been thinking about this stuff for years, there was never a platform that was capable of doing what I wanted to do, which was create a space that I could drop portals into and attach onto, and therefore like organically grow until eventually, perhaps in a decade's time, I've got a sprawling computer game that you can play. So this little character here is obviously my weird, creepy little logo, but the rocket pack on his back is also a metafiler. So if you look closely, it's actually a little bug. And I've got hoodies, and if you buy a hoodie, you can use Instagram to pop up a rocket pack on your back on the hoodie as well. So he's another little example of a metaverse native life form. So I'm going to jump up onto this platform. Jump up here. Here we've got the Splinter Bug. He's a nasty piece of work. The sound effects on him are horrible. We used scissors and things like that to make him. He's a metafiler as well. You can see here that also in Monaverse, you can create canvases. And so you can add artwork onto the walls of your spaces. So as you sell, if you want to sell a space to a collector, for instance, once they own it and this gallery is an NFT in their wallet, they can then update not only the 2D canvases, but they can also update the sculptures as well. So all of these things are artifacts that can be changed out and replaced with other things. So we've got Coldie up there, we've got a couple of mine or whatever, but you can see if you click on these, when you're looking at them, you will go through to an NFT. So if you want to use a space like this to sell your own NFTs, it's a great way of doing it. It's an experiential shopping experience, basically. So, whoa, that was close. So I'm just going to go up to the 3rd floor and find a portal. The portal utilities are really good. So instead of having to sort of rely on being neighbors on a sort of real estate metaverse platform, you can just, whenever you like, just swap out your portals. So you can choose your neighbors and essentially teleport your build around at any point. So let me just try and climb this slippery tentacle. So, of course, the Temple Hermit is there. You can see he's got a little face still, so it's still the same character. It's just now he's pretty badass. He's got 3 floors, and he's got this little computer game inside him. This is the Saracenia Vortex. This is an example of one of my sort of carnivorous portals. I've got this. I've started doing a lot of portals inspired by deep-sea fish and carnivorous plants, and essentially sort of natural traps, as it were. So, you know, like an anglerfish has a lure, and then the Venus flytrap attracts flies and kills them. The reason behind that is that I think, as much as I am extremely excited about the potential of the metaverse, I think we are opening ourselves up to some severe manipulation if we're not careful. So I think it's really important that we sort of like have, if we're going to jump into these portals, we need to be a little bit tentative about that. We need to think that, are they going to snap shut behind us and steal our data? So I've got another one that will essentially pop up your MetaMask wallet and pretends to wipe your digital existence away from you. But that's not in this one, but that's the flickering veil. So that's why they kind of look the way they do. And these are all, like I say, handmade in Gravity Sketch and sold as NFTs that you can then put into different spaces. There will be a marketplace in the future as well in Monaverse, so you'll be able to create sculptures and avatars and wearables and spaces and get them all within the same space. So my ambition is to just create lots of these collections and make elaborate artisan digital portals for collectors to put into their spaces and link their spaces together. I've also got wanting to like try and sort of work on that membrane between IRL and URL. I also 3D print my models. So if anyone's interested in seeing how these things can manifest in the physical world, this sculpture, I know you can't really see it, but if you want to come and look at it at any point, come and say hi. This is cast in bronze, and it's an augmented reality sculpture. It was made in Gravity Sketch, the same tools that all of this was made in, but then brought into reality. And if you own one of these as a collector, you can return to it every week and get a new 3D artwork delivered to you. So I curate a show of art by other artists from inside the sculpture. And yeah, I'm just trying to do a lot more of that, and that's something I'm really excited to pursue and go a lot larger with in the future. That's it really. Sorry about all the umming. This is where I'm at. If anybody's got any questions, please do let me know or come and say hi afterwards. And yeah, thank you very much.